Saturday. Are you convinced that Caleb Williams and the Bears offense is fixed after their performance against the Cowboys?
Well, the Cowboys defense fixes a lot of ails. So we could start there. But I will say I am encouraged. I am encouraged with Ben Johnson, with Caleb Williams, the progression that's going week to week. Fixed. They don't have a running game. There's some things they still, but with Caleb and Ben Johnson, they are getting better every week. That's what you want to see if you're a Bears fan.
I'm with you. We'll talk more about them a little later. Neek, let's go to the Steelers. Are you convinced that Pittsburgh's defense is fixed after forcing 5 turnovers against the Patriots?
I mean, I know this sounds a little counterintuitive after 5 turnovers, but the answer is no. Like, creating 4 fumbles and 1 interception, while it felt like the Patriots aren't a great offense, could move the ball at will, it didn't seem like we still aren't quite at that Pittsburgh Steelers defense that we expect. So.
Yeah, that felt more like a game that the Patriots lost than one that the
100%.
Steelers won. The last one is going to be for Graziano. I'm going to ask him about Jackson Dart, but I want you to hear before we get into it what the coach said yesterday. So this was Brian Daboll, head coach of the Giants, an interaction with a reporter yesterday after his team fell to 0-3.
We're working through, all personnel decisions, and we'll do that over the next few days.
You're not saying Russ is the starter, right? You're saying you're still working through that?
Yeah, we're doing what we normally do, which is watch the tape. We're just watching it with the players right now.
You say what you normally do. Most Monday afternoons, you know who your quarterback's going to be the upcoming week if everyone's healthy, though. It just seems a little different, your responses.
Yeah, well, look, we're going through the tape right now. We're evaluating everything.
So quarterback change is on the table.
I'd say we're evaluating everything.
So with that ringing endorsement still in our ears, Graziano, are you convinced the Giants should make the move to Jackson Dart?
I am. I think, and you talk about watching the tape, Russell Wilson was not good against the Chiefs on Sunday. And not only was he not good, but, I mean, he was throwing the ball into the stands. He was throwing it into the tunnel when they got in close. It just feels like this is a guy that doesn't have an answer when there's pressure in his face. Obviously, he lit up the Cowboys, but we already discussed that. I think Jackson Dart gives them something more at this point, maybe his ability to escape pressure, whatever it is. But I think we're at a point now where it's very clear that Russell's not the answer.
So the sequence he's talking about, you may not have stayed up late Sunday night to watch it. At the end of the game against Kansas City, they still have a chance.
Yeah.
And they give a first down there in the scoring area. And, Jeff, we'll show some of these plays here. You were, I don't want to put words in your mouth, sort of outraged by this.
Yeah.
Right?
This is, for a seasoned vet like Russ, this can't happen. And this is what Daboll is going to take up to the front when he decides he wants to make the change. First of all, you can't throw a ball so far out of bounds that you get a intentional grounding. Now you're holding the ball, you throw it again over the goalpost. A little pressure there. Okay, so let's move it off. Fourth down, right? And you are, what in the world are you doing? Like you regardless of result, you've got to give somebody a chance to make the catch. So that is an indictment on his play, because that's what Daboll will use in the locker room and to the front office of why they're making the change. Russ isn't doing this. Let me say this, though. What I did not love, it made me uncomfortable. Malik Neighbors afterwards gets interviewed, and he talks about it ain't the quarterback. It wasn't Daniel Jones last year. It's not the quarterback right now. That's a problem, because that's an indictment towards the play calling and how the organization is being run. It ain't got to do. So he's not giving like a ringing endorsement. If you go Jackson Dart, everything's going to be fixed, and you're basically putting the quarterback out there to save your gig, as opposed to for the reason. That is not a pretty look.
The turn down of the DAP is looking worse and worse as we move forward. I think that's a good point, but I do think that those plays that you showed, like if you're in the locker room, it's really hard to go back out the next week and feel good about yourself. So I think that's the part that pushes against, because like this is my career too. And I understand that you want to protect Jackson Dart and you want to put him out there when he is most well prepared, but you can't have me keep going out there putting my career on the line in a situation where we're not even trying. Like these plays, we're not trying.
Right.
And even if it doesn't get better, if a rookie quarterback is doing this, at least you can kind of understand. Russ in year 14. Like this is the thing that's definitely not supposed to happen.
That's as ugly as it
When you say that, like guys in the locker room, my career, like selfishly for my career, I'll be on the call, Giants versus Saints 2 weeks from now. I'm hoping they wait a little bit to put Jackson Dart in so we can be the one to but to your point, when you're watching that, and I think red zone offense for quarterbacks are probably one of the biggest challenges of being able to execute. So what you're saying, Gross, if Russ can't do it and he looks that bad at it, it's not just this game. It's been the entire season in the red zone. You can go back to last year with the Steelers as well. You might as well give Jackson Dart, because if I'm in that locker room and I'm Malik Neighbors, because to Neighbors' point, you say those things because you're trying to protect Russell Wilson, the quarterback out there. You don't want to throw him under the bus. But there's hope. If Jackson Dart comes in, guys in the locker room are like, all right, we have a different chance now to be a good football team.
And J-Mac, you might get a great point. Here's the thing for aging quarterbacks and, quote, bridge quarterbacks, right, is they become risk adverse. And the problem for you as a football team is you're not good enough to be risk averse. You got to let it rip. And when you get the situation where you're in the red zone, at some point, put the ball in harm's way, because the quote gunslinging type quarterbacks that get out there and do it, that's what Jackson Dart was going to do. He's going to come out there and make it happen, you know? That's unbelievable, that Hembo stat.
He has a 0.8 QBR in the red zone this year, Russell Wilson. Ouch. Is on a scale from 0 to 100. It's about as bad as can be.
I get the desperation right now and the panic that you feel, and we want to start Jackson Dart. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but you have to understand that once you press that red button in week 4, you ain't got no more button to press when you lose 4 in a row and it's week 10.
Yeah, Jameis.
The Jameis button?
The Jameis button.
You can't push the red one and then the double panic.
Jameis will go try to make a play, though.
I like it. He'll let it rip. He'll let it rip.
Throwing it into the tunnel. I actually don't think it's a terrible idea. If you don't think Jackson Dart is ready to go,
let him go.
And Russell Wilson clearly can't do it. Put Jameis out there. It can't get
You're going to have fun.
Don't put Dart out there if he's not ready. That's definitely not the solution.
We didn't do it, and that's not going to be good enough. There's nobody in that locker room that thinks that's good enough. That's disappointing. That's bad run defense, and that's not who we are. It cannot be who we are. It's not going to be good enough. It's not going to be acceptable, and it's got to be better.
So, I mean, here are the numbers. We've made so much fun of the Cowboys defense, and I take back none of that. But the numbers say that through 3 weeks, the Ravens have been worse. They're dead last in total defense, allowing 415 yards a game, 31st in points allowed, and 32 points allowed per game. Now, early in the season, that gets a little skewed, right? They played Buffalo and they played Detroit. That might be the 2 highest scoring teams in the NFL when it's all said and done.
And they're banged up front. Nnamdi Madubuike, one of their best defenders, especially on the interior, has not been playing. Kyle Van Noy, who's one of their top pass rushers. So, yeah, they're banged up front. But, I mean, John Harbaugh's not going to make that excuse. They should be deep.
That's exactly where I'm going. So what?
Right.
Like, I think that they feel that way, and they should, because they are a championship team. They're going to have to beat teams or they expect to be a championship team. They're going to have to beat teams like this 3 or 4 times in a row at the end of the season.
Right.
They have to find a way to get some sort of stop.
So let me ask you this question. Dominique, that's your old team, the Ravens. Your son's a big fan of Lamar. We all know that. We've had these conversations. So you can sort of speak for the fans. If I were to ask you to sort of assess the panic meter, how concerned we are in late September about a Ravens team that is Super Bowl or bust, how concerned are you?
I mean, honestly, I think the concern is low. It reminds me a little bit of where they were last year, where the defense was struggling. It's a slight difference, though. Last year, the defense was struggling because they were having coverage breakdowns. That's something you can address with attention to detail. The problem in this game was there was no breakdowns. There was no tricks. There was nothing. I mean, there were some trick plays, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was the line of scrimmage started here and it ended there.
Yeah, right.
And that, I mean, there's no scheme to fix that. You got to bow up.
Yeah, the reason this is an indictment on the Ravens, and I know John Harbaugh addressed it, but the problem is in their front 7. They can't create pass rush, and they're not stopping the run. Okay, so you may say, well, we got pass rush guys. Okay, so we can't do a great job on the run. No, they're doing neither well. That is a problem. And you're going to face the Bills again. You have the Chargers who want to be a physical team. They want to come run that. The Colts want to be physical. They got Jonathan Taylor. Like, teams are morphing into what will be a problem for the Ravens if they don't get their front 7 fixed.
And the year they had 2 years ago, when they ran to the 1 seed, right? And I know it ended badly with the loss to the Chiefs, but they were a dominant team that year, and they were a dominant defense. You showed up to play the Ravens, they were going to smother you and keep you from doing what you wanted to do. Obviously, last night, that is not what happened.
My concern with the Baltimore Ravens, you talked about 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game, last year against the Buffalo Bills. Nick, you can attest to this. They remind me of like the practice squad receiver on a Friday, where now that's his Sunday. So he's going out there and he is absolutely balling. Next thing you know, the next week he's elevated. Now he's out there with the offense. and he's not reading a card anymore. And it's just like, who is this guy? For the Baltimore Ravens, in the biggest moments, yes, in the regular season, primetime, they've won games, but they have to find a way to get over the hump and be the team that we all look at them on paper and say, this is one of the best defenses in the NFL, but it doesn't show up.
So week 3 is now official. Thank you.